Good afternoon. My name is Shariqur Rahman. I'm a PhD candidate in Mass Communication and Media Arts, Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. As you see, the title of my presentation today is, by the way, I'm very thrilled, seeing this big crowd here today. And I hope that it will be an interesting presentation, and definitely I will appreciate questions after I'm done with the presentation. Okay, so this is newspaper coverage of recent countrywide terrorist bombing in Bangladesh. So what do I mean by countrywide? I will explain in a second. Okay, so the bombing, I just choose some of the images. Here, you probably get the idea. This is the victim. They're the victim, protest, you see, and the victims. And those were some of the people who were arrested after the bombing, and they for their involvement. So just in a snapshot. And oops, sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. It's okay. Okay, and here are some of the information about the bombing. So on August of last year, countrywide, meaning that in Bangladesh we have 64 districts. Those are the administrative units, like a county here. And 63 out of 64 districts, bombs were exploded almost simultaneously in the morning. So we can definitely call it a countrywide incident. And 2 persons, those bombs were not very powerful. Fortunately, only 2 persons were killed and hundreds wounded. And then again, on November 14th, the bomb exploded in court, lower court. You probably know what is a court is, legal court, and killing 2 judges. And the significant thing about the next November 14th bombing is that this was the first suicide terrorist bombing in Bangladesh's history. It never happened before. In the long history of Bangladesh, the Bangladeshi people had fought their independence war in 1971. That was a war. To fight the autocratic military ruler, people actually fought with police in the street, but never a terrorist bombing. So this is a new thing. And then again on November 29th, another court bombing killing several people. And again after 48 hours of that, another bombing, not in a court, but in a city, in a town. And then that is the last thing that I know. And starting from August 17th through December 1st, 25 people killed, hundreds of people got injured in this kind of bombings. So this is a, in a nutshell, these are the things that I will explain the implications of those things. So those are some hard facts. Okay, so I was thinking that if I want to, since many of you actually are not very familiar with Bangladesh, its history, its culture, so I was thinking that I will go back a little bit and just discuss a little bit history, a little bit Bangladeshi facts, some key things, see whether I can find it in a website. Just give me 1 second. It should pop up. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so let me just go down. Let me show you. Okay, this is the national flag of Bangladesh. So that green thing signifies the landscape. It's mostly green in Bangladesh. And the red circle is signifies the sacrifice, the color of blood that people had to sacrifice in 1971. So this is, and some of the key facts, I mean, it's not very difficult to get those facts. If you go internet, you see the area is 144,000 square miles. And I think it is like a little bit smaller or bigger than Wisconsin. So you can imagine it's a small country. And located here, in the southeast part of Asia. So, and we are bordered by India in 3 sides, Myanmar, And in south sides, like Bay of Bengal, it's a small bay. So this is basically Bangladesh. You see that tiger? We call it Royal Bengal tiger. This is one of the species of rare species of tiger that is found in part of Bangladesh. It's very elegant looking, you see that. What I would like to show now, some of the photographs, some, probably photo tells, okay. So this is the thing. Usually, probably if you hear the name Bangladesh, it comes in your mind, oh, Bangladesh, it's a country of floods. That was the common stereotypical image before that terrorism thing actually came. So the flood was a regular occurrence almost every year in the country. So you see, during flood, people had to communicate from one place to another using this country-made boat. So just showing some image, and then let's see. This is another thing. So you see, this is not a rural area. This is like, probably I'm thinking of the capital, Dhaka. When there is flood, so people had to actually go from one place to another using those kind of little boats. Okay, let's see some other images. Yeah, so those are all images about floods. Let me choose only a few one that are different. Okay. I want to show some how the life in Bangladesh a little bit. This is a crowded area where the fishermen actually probably fish and just get crowded is in the city, town. Okay, let me see whether I can show some of the real people. By the way, most of the Bangladeshis look like me, and Bangladeshi women look like my wife. Could you please raise your hand and show everyone? Yeah. And the kids look like our daughter. You see, the only second grader in the audience today. Okay. Okay, let me show this image, and then I'll just. Okay, so this gentleman, I will talk about him later. His name is Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. He is the founding father of the country. In 1971, under his leadership, the country actually won his independence. So, and people love him very much. This is one of the general who actually came to power after the assassination of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in 1975. His name is General Ziaur Rahman, and he ruled the country for like 8-9 years. And there is another general, I'm not showing those. I just want to show one more image, and then I'll just go back. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, here she is. Okay, so the country is ruled by these two ladies, Bangladesh. It's probably a kind of a surprising fact to you, but since 1991, let me show you. She became the prime minister. Her name is, did you see the pointer? Her name is Khaleda Zia. She is the widow of the general I showed, Sheikh Ziaur Rahman. So she is the leader of one of the, I think is moderate to rightist political party. They call it Bangladesh Nationalist Party. She is the leader. And currently she is the prime minister. And she is the daughter of Sheikh Mujib that I showed you the picture. And she is the leader of the other big party. By the way, we have just two parties like your country has, like Republican and Democratic. So since 1991, she was prime minister in 1991 election. She became the prime minister. Prime minister is the head of the government in our system. We have a British-style parliamentary system, unlike yours. Okay, so, and I think just one more image, then I will be done. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, I got it. Okay, so cultural life. So I definitely should mention about this gentleman. He's long dead. His name is Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore is his last name. He's probably known to people who actually love literature. He got a Nobel in 1913 for his work. And he's the most influential figure. And I will later tell what is his contribution and how he has impacted the culture of Bangladeshi people. And the national anthem of Bangladesh, he is a Hindu, not a Muslim. Looks like a Muslim with his beard, though. Okay, but the national anthem is written by him. And he is from Calcutta, not the current geographical position of Bangladesh, but when he did his work, those whole Indian subcontinent was together, and both the West Bengal and East Bengal, current Bangladesh, was together. So Bangladeshi people actually think him as their own, no matter where his later residence was. Okay, let's see. I should be done now. Just one thing. Okay, his name is, he is a poet. He is the national poet of Bangladesh. His name is Qazi Nazrul Islam. He is also, his original home is like in West Bengal, but he is the national poet of Bangladesh. The point I'm trying to make here is that in West Bengal of India, the Bengali people, the people who ethnically like Bangladeshis speak the same language, but in 1947, the country was divided. I will talk more about it, but people has a lot of communications, connections, emotions between the two parts. Okay. And I should be gone to the, okay. And some of the historical events. So I told that 1971 is the year that Bangladesh got its independence. But I'm thinking that I need to go back a little bit to understand the people, politics, and the religious influence in the politics of Bangladesh. So I'm kind of thinking how far I can go. I think I should go back to the time when actually mainly by Turks and Afghans and Persians, the invasion by the way, the religion Islam was not native to, you probably know that, it is not like India. They came from other parts of the world, like some Arabian countries, Turks, Persians. Okay, let's see very quickly what can I do. And this is a page of the encyclopedia. Okay, let me, just give me 1 second. It should load, okay. Very quickly, this is a historical thing, and I'm not an expert of history also, but I just want to make a few points. Just 1 second. Just bigger, if you can see those, okay. Okay, so if you can read it, probably you can, but okay, let me tell you what. We can go back like 3 millennia when I mean people recorded the history. But I just want to start from here. Shashanka is the name of a king. In 6th centuries, he established a kingdom in current Bangladesh. It was a different name, but he was the first native ruler. Okay, and then subsequently that area was, I should not say invaded, but ruled by an empire. The first one is the Buddhist Pala Empire, we call it Pal, and the second one is Sena Empire, we call it Shen. Is this Sena, one of the Shen emperor, Bollal Shen is his name. At his time in 12th century, one of the Turk general, Bokhtiyar Khilji, invaded that part. And then after that invasion, there were long Muslim rule. Some of them were like Persians, some were Afghans. They ruled the country. The thing is that there, I will show you in a minute, the present day Bangladesh was like a remote from the place they established their capital, their culture, their big cities. Those were in northern India. So the Bangladesh remain, I will show you in a map in a second, is kind of isolated for a long time. But is one significant thing in 16th century, 1600, the Mughals, you know, those Mughal Empire, they ruled India for probably 400 years. And then they established their capital in Dhaka, I mean the provincial capital. And since then, Dhaka and that present day area became significant or just was more connected to the other part of the India. Okay, so and from those Mughal emperor, one of the Mughal emperors, the British actually took control in 1757, and it became the part of British Empire in 1857 or 58. And since then, since 1947, the British ruled, and then Pakistan, and then Bangladesh. I will explain a little bit more. But I just want to make one thing clear. Just give me 1 second. I want to show you the maps so that I want to make one point though. Okay, just 1 second. Okay. And then I will go back to my, okay. Oops. Okay. If you look at the map here, you see, this is Bangladesh. I don't know whether I can show it. It's right here sometimes, Bangladesh, okay. So if you look at the map, I was saying that the Muslim invaders came and established their capital, their culture. Those were in northern India. Let me see, I think is this part, maybe, this part. Okay, so this Bangladesh, this part was like far away, and Bangladesh is like cross-creased by river, and those people, they didn't care to Bangladesh to connect those people to the religion of Islam. So let me just read it 1 or 2 sentences that actually will explain the role of religion in Bangladesh. So it is by one of the famous scholars. Bengal, particularly the low-lying districts in the east and the current-day Bangladesh. In the southeast, comprising much of the present-day Bangladesh, where Islam found most of its adherents, long remained largely isolated from the cultural influences of northern India. So I just want to make this point clear. This is the reason that religious thing is not that strong in the Bangladeshi life and the Bangladeshi culture. It is, one of the people call it as a moderate. Many people you will find that they really don't care about religion. They just want to lead their own life. But I'm not trying to give an impression that they are not religious people. They are religious people, but they are not as orthodox as like some other Muslims. So that historical thing explains a little bit why this is the case. Okay. And then I will go back to my PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, I want to emphasize though in one particular date, it's 1905. This Bengal and Bangladesh still under British Empire. So the Bangladesh was a huge country comprising present-day Bangladesh, West Bengal of India, another Indian province, they call it Assam. And the British people actually divided, the British ruler actually divided the Bengal. The present-day Bangladesh, Muslim-dominated area was one part, East Bengal, and the rest is West Bengal. The problem or the significance with this event is that Muslim people liked it. They thought, okay, if they are a separate province, there will be development, they can determine their life without competing with the Hindus who were economically, politically, and intellectually superior to the Muslims. But the Hindu people actually they didn't like it, and they actually started to fight that decision. The reason is, I think they were right. And you know, the policy of the British Empire was divide and rule. So they argued that by doing that, the British Empire actually is weakening the movement of all Bengalis. They are just creating a division between Hindus and Muslims. And ultimately, in 1911, a few years after, it was reversed. But what damage was done in the meantime, the Muslims and Hindu, their relationship actually worsened. And it was reflected later in some of the riots and some other stuff. I'm not saying that this is the only cause, but this is one of the major causes in 1905. And you see, in 1906, the Muslim League, Indian Muslim League was born. And in 1947, Pakistan was born under Muslim League. What is that? Okay, and I'm just one quick point. In 1947, the whole India, if you have any idea, India is a huge country, they call it subcontinent, Indian subcontinent, was divided into two parts. It's India and Pakistan. And present day Bangladesh was part of Pakistan. And they came up, particularly the Muslim League, with a theory. They call it two-nation theory. They said, okay, Hindus and Muslims are two different nations. So the Muslim people should have their own country. And Bangladeshi people supported it, hugely supported. The reason is, let me just tell you just one reason at least. If you just look at the Bangladeshi history, the social division, there were landlords and peasants. All the landlords, almost all of them, were Hindus, and the peasants were Muslim. And it had, like, law is a contested issue, but this was the case, no matter what were the reason. So the Muslim people actually thought, okay, so if we are with those all people together, then they will dominate us all the time, and we will be peasants, we will be their subordinate. So it's a good idea to have our own country so that we don't need to compete with the Hindus. And ultimately that happened. Pakistan was created. Bangladesh has been one of its part, although there are hundreds of miles of geographical distance. If you look at the history of Bangladesh and Pakistan, it's like 1,200 miles apart geographically. But nonetheless, that happened. Okay, Bangladesh. This is the cover, by the way, this is the cover of the Time magazine in 1971 after Bangladesh was created. And this is the freedom fighter photograph. Okay. So the Bangladeshi people found the Pakistanis, particularly the Punjabi. If you just look at the history, you will see that the Punjabi civil military bureaucracy, right now also they are ruling the country. So they became the new master. Okay. The first attack, like after just 1 year after the Pakistan was created, 1948, they declared that Urdu, as a language the Pakistani people speak, will be the state language of Pakistan. I mean, the Bengali people thought, Bangladeshi people, okay, so if it is established, then there will be, Bangladeshi people will put in a permanent subordinate position for that. So they, and they also attacked on culture. In every day, they will declare something new, like they said, okay, in radio, you can't listen to, we call it Rabindra music, the music by the great poet Tagore, and that music is so popular in Bangladesh. An educated Bangladeshi will send her daughter to school, and at the same time, she will send her to a musician to learn some Tagore music. So this is an emotional and cultural thing. Bengali people can't offer a love without reciting Tagore's poem. If it is like, it is so ingrained in people's lives. So they were just, particularly the educated people, they were infuriated with the decision. What are you doing? You will just tell me every day what we are supposed to do. And then, ultimately, the language problem was solved by a bloody battle. The Bengali students protested, the police opened fire, several of the students was dead, but still the whole country, like people started protesting the whole country. And then Pakistani ruler finally said, okay, Urdu and Bengali both are state language. So this is how they solved the problem, but the damage was done. The Bangladeshi people, psychologically, they were detached from the Pakistani people, and they demanded more autonomy. And finally, in an independence war in 1971, March through December, Bangladesh became an independent country. That's war is a different history. I'm not. If you are interested, you can just go and read about it. Okay, and Bangladesh since 1971. I will just wrap up very quickly. Okay, so people hoped that there will be democracy and every other thing, but the democracy was very short-lived. Only 1971 to 1970. I should say 74. In 74, the founding father, he actually introduced a one-party system. There is a long history. He could not manage the thing because under his leadership, all those people, like the moderates, the leftists, they fought together. But when Bangladesh was achieved, some of the leftist group went underground and started to fight the government. There were, scarcity of food. There were international pressure. Also, just one historic note. The big power, USA, didn't support quite. Actually, they supported Pakistan and the Russia supported. So this was like the superpower at that time involved. And the Saudi Arabia was not very happy. They were thinking that we broke Pakistan, so-called Islamic country. So many Islamic Middle Eastern people didn't like it. Anyway, so the democracy was short-lived, but we got a very, very, people say, excellent constitution. The reason is there are universal human rights, there are secularism in the constitution. It was good, but it was not short-lived. It was not there. And then military rule came in 1975 after a coup in which Sheikh Mujib was killed with most of his family members. And constitution amended several times. The two I would like to say, one is the military ruler that I showed, Ziaur Rahman. He just took the secularism and put one sentence that dependence on the Almighty, that is the source, Almighty meaning the Muslim Almighty Allah. So all this, just this only sentence, and if we put one thing, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the Muslim people say it when they start doing anything. So those two things he did. And another military ruler, by an amendment, he made Islam the state language, state religion of the country. He kind of argued that, okay, if we have a national poet, national flower, national bird, what's wrong having a national religion? This is his argument. So he was a military ruler, there were protests, but it is still there. Once something is there, like it takes a whole lot of courage to say, no, we'll take this out. Nobody actually, since everybody needs people's vote, so they are just leaving it there in the constitution. But still, experts believe that still Bangladeshi constitution is a good one, meaning that it doesn't discriminate between men and women, doesn't discriminate between religions, at least in law. So you can challenge any decision. I will show you one thing that the court actually intervened. So I think still it's a good constitution. Okay, so I should be rushing. And then after 1982, after long military ruler, Bangladeshi people, with the economy's bad condition, they started a movement. Okay, so this is the place. I will be localizing here a little bit. This is the place. This is a part of Dhaka University, and this is a restaurant or canteen, we call it. Students would gather there, and we'll have a brief meeting, and then we'll start procession, fight with the police. So this is a historic spot. We call it Modhu's restaurant, and this gentleman, his name is Modhu, and he was very generous. He, gave people tea, breakfast, and didn't charge that much. And for a student, that is many things, So, and here, little surprise for you. You see, can you recognize this gentleman? Okay, our own dean, Manjunath Pandakar. By the way, he gave me these two photographs. Recently, he visited Bangladesh, and he is inside that Madhu's restaurant, and he, probably some of the Dhaka University faculty, told him the historical importance of that restaurant. And I'm sorry that he is not here, but I didn't superimpose or anything. This is a real photograph. He's here. Okay. Okay. And the students' struggle started. The reason I'm going a little bit detail, just to know the mentality of Bangladeshi people. Okay. When Bangladeshi people were fighting, mainly young people, students, a military dictator, his name was Ershad. This is one of the historic images. You see this gentleman? He's a young man of, I think, 26 or 28, either unemployed or had a small job. The word written in his back is that, let democracy be free. And he also had something written in his chest, that down with autocracy. So this is a very strong message. And he was just in front of the procession, the rally, big students' rally. And police, you can imagine, they will not let him, go with that. They shot and killed him. And then students got his dead body, and he became an icon. His name is Nur Hussain. Okay. So, and I will just show you one thing, one little poem, just to show how the Bangladeshi people, particularly students, were feeling at the time. Okay, this is my translation. In 1971, meaning that at war time, I was very young. I understood death, but didn't understand struggle. Now, I am big enough to understand struggle, not afraid anymore of death. So this was their attitude. The reason is the university students were most affected. I am part of them. Usually you need 4 years to complete your undergrad, but believe me, I had to be in the university for 7 years. The reason is when the military ruler thought, okay, this is the students who actually is causing problem for us. So if there is any protest, he will close the university and vacate all the dorms. So students didn't like it. So they were very angry, and by nature, those students were anti-autocracy, anti-fundamentalism. So just I want to emphasize that point. The reason is in Dhaka University, the largest university, the student wing of a religious party, Jamaat-e-Islami, they were never able to even come back to that campus. Just they said, okay, we don't care for whether it's democracy or what. You people are not good enough to be our part, So since you don't respect freedom, you don't respect women, this kind of thing. So this is, I'm not agreeing with them, but this is their sentiment. Okay. So then the movement, political parties took over the movement and ended in the resignation of the autocratic ruler, General Ershad. And I'm talking about 1990s, and in 1991, we had an election. And since then, democracy is going on, although with a whole lot of problems. But still, since 1991, Bangladesh is having regular elections, parliamentary democracy. Let's see what is next. Okay, I think I will stop here since I'm going to the newspaper part now. So in that part, if you have any question, I would be happy to answer.
Yeah,
please.
I was reading a little bit about journalism in Bangladesh before, and I was reading some news articles about journalism in Bangladesh before I came here today, and they were talking about the JCD student wing at the Dhaka
Or the BNP,
University.
yeah.
How big is that?
Okay, it's quite big. It's quite big. The two parties, there's Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, JCD, Jatiyotawadi Student League, something like that. They are the student wing. By the way, probably you have like college Democrats, college Republicans. In Bangladesh, we have the similar kind of thing, but those people are much more aggressive and much more, you will see them demonstrating regularly. So yeah, so that is one of the biggest student organizations. Their opponent one is the student wing of the other party, Awami League. Yeah, it's quite big. Any other question?
What is the proportion of Hindus and of Muslims in Bangladesh today?
I think it is 84 or 85% is Muslim, and I think 14% are Hindus, and very insignificant number of Christians and Buddhists.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. If you don't have any question, before I just go to the next section, I want to just show a little bit a video clip I recorded. Let me tell you about a little bit. This thing is a street demonstration by the largest political party, denouncing the government's failure to protect them and all the other problems. So it will be 1 minute, I believe.
And to protect them against the bombings.
Then we'll just go back to the bombing. This big demonstration. It just happened on 24th November, but the opposition party made it a national issue throughout the country. They mobilized people, and people from the country actually came to the capital city, Dhaka, to protest government failure and other things. Okay, let me just run it. Let me see, is this the play? Okay. It's the news.
বিরোধী দলীয় নেত্রী শেখ হাসিনা 14 দলের লং মার্চ শেষে পল্টন ময়দানে আয়োজিত সমাবেশে তিনি বলেছেন তাদের প্রস্তাব হুবহু অনুমোদন করা না হলে তারা সংসদ থেকে পদত্যাগ করবে। সমাবেশে আগামী 15 ফেব্রুয়ারি দেশ জুড়ে সকাল সন্ধ্যা হরতাল সহ বিভিন্ন কর্মসূচিও ঘোষণা করেন তিনি। মোস্তফা ফিরোজের রিপোর্ট।
আওয়ামী লীগ সভানেত্রী শেখ হাসিনা বিকাল 3:15টায় সমাবেশ স্থলে পৌঁছার আগেই পল্টনে সমবেত হয় দেশের বিভিন্ন প্রান্ত থেকে লং মার্চ নিয়ে আসা 14 দল নেতা কর্মীরা। মানুষের ঢল ছড়িয়ে পড়ে আশেপাশে। লং মার্চ সফল করায় জনতাকে অভিনন্দন জানিয়ে বিরোধী দলীয় নেত্রী বলেন বাধা বিপত্তি নির্যাতন চালিয়েও লং মার্চ ভণ্ডুল করতে পারেনি সরকার। এতে প্রমাণ হয় জনগণ আর এই সরকারকে চায় না। তিনি সংসদে যাওয়া প্রসঙ্গে বলেন তত্ত্বাবধায়ক সরকার এবং নির্বাচন কমিশন সংস্কারের বিরোধী দলের প্রস্তাব সংসদে তোলার কথা বলছে সরকার। এই দাবি আদায়ে প্রয়োজনে সংসদে যাওয়ার কথা বলেন শেখ হাসিনা।
She is the leader of the opposition. Okay, I'll stop it. Do you guys still think that the Muslim women are soft boys and just hide in their house? Huh? What do you think? It's like thousands of people, you know. This is one of the stereotyped images that unfortunately we homogenized all Muslim people. No. So this is not the case, actually. In Bangladesh, if you just go to Dhaka, you will see the women's is visible all over the place, including politics and other stuff. So this is one of the things. Okay, let me go back to the bombing stuff now, and I will spend the next 5 or 6 minutes talking about how the newspaper. By the way, I didn't include the electronic media. It is only the newspaper, mainly because I didn't have access to the electronic media. I have access. Another thing is that newspaper is still the dominant media, news media in Bangladesh. Its influence in the politics. So, okay, so this man is the ringleader. His name is Sheikh Abdul Rahman, not related with me, by the way. Okay, and his name of his organization, he is another man. I will show him. Yeah, you see this one? Yeah, he is another man, one of the leader. And the organization, his organization is Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh. They have started in 1998, operating mostly in the poor part of the country, operating behind the radar. People didn't know. Some of the newspapers, including some of probably New York Times, reported, government always denied, no, there is no such thing like that, but ultimately it happened. And this gentleman, okay, I'll talk about it later. Okay, so the newspaper framing. The first is law and order. The first couple of, I think, couple of days, 7 to 10 days, is the newspaper actually identified it as a law and order problem, because Bangladesh had a long history of like poor law and order. So this is the one of the editorial. Militants pose security threat for the country. Ominous signs. This is the editorial of Ittefaq, the Bengali newspaper daily, and the failure of intelligence agencies. This kind of theme were there. Those two people, on cross, they are two of the people involved in those bombing, and police are taking them to the court. Okay. The reason law and order that said that since in Bangladesh is since 1991, those kind of bombing started in cinema halls, in cultural activities, open air cultural activities, and in one of the leader of the opposition's public rally, people blasted bomb, but those were not prosecuted well. So government was not sincere to actually try them. And one of the ex-foreign minister was killed also. So they said all are linked and government is blamed for their inaction. So this was the theme. Okay, and what if you read the editorial, all the bombings since the one that was intended to kill Sheikh Hasina are connected. Government kept saying that there are no terrorist organizations in the country, and oppositions in certain quarters are out to tarnish the image of the country and government. But now everything is exposed, so we'll see how they do it. So those were the themes in the beginning days. Let me see. Okay, another editorial headline, intelligence failure to an epic proportion. You see, so you'll see that one. And then another editorial says, okay, terrorists are not stronger than government, and they do not enjoy the support of the people. This is the question. Then why they cannot be crushed? So this is the question. It's a law and order problem and inability or inaction, insincerity of the government not to actually crush them. This was the theme. Definitely newspapers were very angry to, do that. Okay. Okay, and he the same thing. He said first terrorist was arrested in 1971, and then he was freed on bail. Later, 453 arrested, released, mainly due to weak investigation, casual attitude of government, denial by the government. So those were the theme. Okay, this is the thing I was talking about. That the High Court, the Supreme Court of the country, subsequently after probably 2 or 3 weeks of this bombing incident, they issued a rule. I don't know what you call it in this country. Say, for example, any citizen of the country can submit a petition against government or something like that, and the court will convene. And they said, just if you read it, the High Court issued ruling upon the government to explain why it's inaction. You see the option inaction in conducting effective investigation of and containing court bombings since August 17 should not be declared a failure in protecting citizens' fundamental rights. So those were the things, and the court intervened. I just, try to emphasize one point. Say, for example, if we just read one newspaper story, bombing campaign in Bangladesh, all those things actually you never saw, that there is a strong protest, strong counter thing is going on. So probably you get an idea that, oh, they have taken over the country. Not the case. Okay. The Prime Minister is a cartoon. Oh, the Prime Minister tried to frame it as a bomb terrorism. If you look at the definition, it's a technical definition, saying that bomb exploded by themselves. There is no people behind that. So she tried to do that. The reason is she has her coalition partners, Jamaat-e-Islami and other Islamic movement, other Islamic party, small though. People are blaming them. So by framing bomb terrorism, she was trying to give an impression, no, they are not involved, our party is not involved. Okay, and let's see how the newspaper did that. The newspaper didn't protest Prime Minister's framing, but they had a broader frame explaining the politics. Some newspapers, soft to opposition party, blamed government. For example, one of the strongest one, I said, how they will catch themselves. Meaning is, they actually accused government and his partner of doing the same thing. Then said how they will catch themselves if they themselves are involved. Okay. These newspapers actually used opposition party voices for framing. I mean, they didn't do it, but they used opposition parties to say their word. And they, okay, you see this image? Just look at the image. Okay, the man with the suit, he is a moderate BNP man, the main party. And the other man, he is a Jamaat Islami man, Islamist, okay? You see, he is trying to kill him. So this is the situation, and at least some of the newspapers are saying that by making them your coalition partner, you are doing the harm. These people are having influence in the policy, they are influencing the police and other things. So you people are getting killed, at least, you know, figuratively here, meaning that they are having their influence. So the government is to be blamed. This is the outcome of politics, like taking them in your coalition partner. Okay, so moderates in BNP are being cornered. If you just look at those images, you know, those people are like Islamic party. Those people are blamed for bombing. You see this man, he is having his roots in the map of Bangladesh, you know, so with the government inaction and other thing. And he is also, you know, those modern people, police, they are kind of afraid. Okay, this is an interesting one. Another theme they did, the cartoon one, is that the newspaper were blaming both of the parties. They are saying that you can't agree, bipartisan that you have here is absent. So these terrorists bombing are taking the opportunity. When you are fighting, these people are blasting bombs, you know. Did you see that? Okay, so this is the situation, and this is people's expectation here. It is on Valentine's Day. In Dhaka University, two, you know, women, is they look alike, like Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of the country. She is the Prime Minister, and she is the leader of the opposition. They are pretending they are giving each other flower, saying that, okay, why don't you just be together and fight those problems? So this is like students, people's expectation. Did you get this thing? They are not real Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. This is just look-alike people. They are doing it to get a message across. Okay, and one thing, invoking the spirit of liberation war. If you look at this image, this one, he is a Pakistani general in 1971, Yahya Khan, and he is Ghulam Azam. He is the leader of Jamaat-e-Islami. These two people together were involved in killing of Bangladeshi people, although Ghulam Azam is a citizen of Bangladesh. So newspaper are actually publishing these kind of images, invoking the image of 1971, saying that the defeated forces of 1971 are behind those terrorist bombing now. Okay, that's interesting. Can you recognize just how do these people look? Afghanistan, Afghan Mujahideen. Okay, so the newspaper also tried to invoke that image also. These people in 1992, they had a small news conference and launched an organization. With this, they just returned from Afghanistan. So, and some of the people trained in Afghanistan are also involved in this terrorist bombing. Okay, so they try to, okay. And I think I'm almost done. The Madrasa Islamic NGO and the Middle Eastern connection. This is one of the themes that I found. Okay, one of the newspaper, Pratham Alo, they actually arranged a round table, meaning discussions. And they said that the madrasa educated people, they are detached from the mainstream. They can't compete with the other people for job. And people with political motive actually exploit their frustration. Madrasa people, this is how. And they also think that roots of terrorism lies in the social inequalities of the Bangladesh. I agree with that. And one important point, the last one, they try to make sure that the militancy, meaning Islamic militancy in Bangladesh, is not driven by the desire of freedom. If just I want to spend a minute here. Say, for example, in some part of the country, like in Palestine and other parts. In Palestine, they are fighting their freedom from Israeli occupation. In some other countries like Egypt, they are fighting a corrupt government. So these people, they said, situation from here in Bangladesh is different. It is not related with the desire to freedom. Bangladesh is an open society. There are elections. They can participate. So they want to just distinguish this situation from the other Islamist movement in the world. Okay, I think I'm overall framing. Okay, overall framing is that the militants were treated as regular criminals in newspaper framing. They didn't give them any political space for that. No space given to their ideology or anything. And I think that's all. I just want to, one quick thing I want to show, and then I'll be done. Just give me 1 second. Oh, and come on. Okay. Okay, just 1 second. Show all bookmarks, okay. Okay. So the last point I made is that they were not given any political space. So I want to just emphasize using this newspaper. It's a Bengali newspaper. You can't understand probably anything, but I will just show you one image, and I will conclude my presentation. It is the issue just after day when the first terrorist bombing were conducted on November 14th, I believe. So this is the issue of November 15th. Okay, I just want to concentrate you on this image, this gentleman. Did you see? He is in Bangladesh at least, he is the image of a good Muslim, decent Muslim. You see his dress, his beard, his cap and everything? Okay. And he was the Chief Justice of the country. I don't know how did he look when he was the Chief Justice of the country, but he is the Chief Justice of the country, and he is an expert on the religious thing. Okay, so this newspaper, what they did, just after the day, they put a small news item here. This interviewing these people is a small item, saying that the people who are doing all those terrorist bombing, it is not Islamic at all. You know, so by doing that, this newspaper is trying to do, just negate all those political spaces. The point I try to make that they didn't give an inch of political space to those bombards. And it looked to me as a very excellent, deliberate attempt by this newspaper, just to have a photograph of a good Muslim and saying, okay, I am the Muslim, I am the representative of good Muslim, you people don't belong here, this kind of thing. This is a contested issue, but this is how they did that. So this is my presentation, and thank you very much for being here. I have love to answer questions.
Okay, we have a few minutes for questions or observations or whatever. Anybody got a question? Yes, Ben.
How controlled is the press?
Okay. Okay. It's not controlled.
Is that at all?
No, not at all. I'm just, okay, let me, we don't have any First Amendment that you have, but we have sufficient legal protection that actually there were controls. They could, arrest a news journalist, stop the publication of a newspaper, but those things has gone now. There were some Special Powers Act things. Those are not. Those are no longer effective. So I think newspapers are really free. They can write whatever they want to write. Please.
Yes.
I had a question. When I've looked at other studies that have looked at similar issues, that you find a lot of the same thing, that the terrorists or treated as kind of others and they're as troublemakers and such. From looking at other studies, do you see anything uniquely Bangladeshi or somehow how this is treated differently than some perhaps similar?
It's a very interesting question. as I was in Bangladesh particularly, I probably should emphasize that point. In Bangladeshi politics, only in 1947, the Muslim League, the Muslim people they had a good image. And after particularly in 1947, when they were in the wrong side, meaning that with the Pakistani military killing Bangladeshi people, they are the image of any Islamic political party was like severely tarnished. So in Bangladesh, I think they are the other for a political reason. Sometimes, yeah, I haven't done a comparative study, but in Bangladeshi case, it is due to their role in 1971 that they are still struggling. You know, they are two of the Jamaat members, Jamaat Islami members. They are in the cabinet position, but still, at least to the newspapers, to the secular elites, they are not highly regarded. It is not other in a sense because they are also influential people. They have economically. It is politically. I think people will doubt whatever they say in their face, and then they will analyze it. So it is not other in a sense that they are not giving them any space. Say, for example, the Muslim people, like the one that I showed, they are really respected, you know, in newspaper, in television, people will ask them. But when you enter into politics and try to utilize the religion, then it is a whole different equation. Please.
Yeah, how do you think the election of Hamas in Pakistan is going to affect relations between Bangladesh and Pakistan?
Hamas election in Pakistan?
Yeah, didn't they get elected in Pakistan? Or?
In Palestine, I believe. Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
In Palestine. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes, interesting question. I haven't. Historically, Bangladeshi people, students, they had a very, very high regard for struggling Palestinian people. I try to make this point some other time, but I will just do it one more time. It is not because they are Muslim. It is because they are fighting for their freedom. Yasser Arafat, probably many people in this audience in this country will think he's a corrupt man, but people in Bangladesh he's like a hero because he was fighting an occupation. And in I don't know, probably a couple of years back, he was invited to attend the 25th anniversary of Bangladeshi movement. But I haven't looked at it. Hamas, since it is a not only regarded terrorist, but also an Islamist organization, it will vary. I'm sure that they might have good relation with the Islamist party, but I just don't know. I just don't know what will be the relation. And you know what? In case of Bangladesh and Palestinian, it is not a diplomatic relation is not that important. We don't have almost no business with each other. It was just probably an emotional relation. And as I was telling you, emotionally, Bangladeshi people are affiliated with Palestinians because of their freedom movement, because of their fighting occupation. Yeah.
I just have one question, if
Please.
I may, although it sort of comes in two parts. You say that this sort of group which was tarnished by being on the wrong side in the War of Independence in
Yes.
71 is now sort of in government but as a minority party. Did they indicate in any way their distancing from these attacks? And if they did, how did the terrorist group communicate its reason for doing it through the Bangladeshi media?
It's a very interesting question. Okay. Yes, they did. They said, okay, no, we are not involved. We denounce this kind of thing. It was, and in the second sentence, they were just saying, it was the people who actually wants to tarnish the image of Bangladesh as a Muslim country are doing that kind of conspiracy theory. They are trying to do that. But if we look at the fact, many of those people arrested for those kind of things, they were connected with Jamaat Islami as either their student front and this kind of thing. And when someone is arrested, the next morning Jamaat will, issue a press release saying, "Oh, no, he's not our part." But the newspaper was publishing stories showing connection. They had at least earlier connection with that party. So the Jamaat is very in a cornered situation, and many people, many political party, newspapers are actually asking the main party, BNP, the coalition partner. The Bangladeshi politics is like anti-India, India is our big neighbor, so anti-Indian sentiment. So sometimes people will try to create an anti-Indian sentiment, and they try to associate Awami League with pro-Indian. And then the Jamaat is the extreme right organization, so they will have some constituency. The other thing is that these two parties, Awami League and BNP, they are almost equally strong in terms of seats. So in parliamentary elections, say for example in one constituency, Jamaat and BNP, the main two parties, are in a tie situation. So if Jamaat-e-Islami can intervene and can give them like a couple of thousand votes, then the BNP elected. So what they did, they had a liaison with BNP saying that, okay, we will give you support in constituency number 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you will give us support in constituency numbers 9, 11, 13. So by doing that, both of the parties actually begged a little bit more. So this is the tricky thing. It has nothing to do with Islam or anything, pure politics.
Okay, if there are no further questions, thank you very much indeed.